Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly, I'm going to be your friendly Go Master today, because today we are carrying on with our ongoing campaign playing, I guess, of Fantasy Flight Games' / Edge Studios' awesome Legend of the Five Rings 6th edition, I think. Whatever, we've been saying the FFG edition, but I guess Edge Studios is the holder of the rights now. But in any event, we're playing Legend of the Five Rings in a campaign we're calling Lament for Lovers and Liars. And with me today are the stars of this campaign. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who are you playing? First up is Sean.
Hey, I'm playing Agasha Jinsaburo, Dragon Clan, trying to make his name as an unusual Emerald Magistrate, not from the classic profile.
Yeah, the Kitsuki, trying to show his own competency. And joining him as his partner is James.
And I'm playing Doji Gorobe, who's a Crane Clan Bushi, on the surface jolly man, friend to all, and also detective.
Nice.
In the city.
Now, we do have one milestone to celebrate, which is that Jinsaburo has hit rank 2. Isn't that right?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I had to kind of snap back into. I spend a lot of time after sessions where I'm just like all beamed in, and at this point I'm like, "What happened?" So
I totally understand.
Yeah, you are correct, sir.
Yeah,
yes.
That's great. So, what mechanical changes? Are there anything that is? I guess there's a couple things that'll be like rank related.
Yeah, well, the ongoing one is that I am able to, my school ability is able to use a different ring than I believe it's all, hang on a second, it's probably all invocations. I'm not positive. It definitely includes invocations, but it may be exclusively invocations.
When performing an invocation, you may choose a different ring from which to make the check. When using this school ability, you cannot activate opportunities of the original element of the invocation, but you can activate opportunities for the new element. You can use this school ability a number of times per game session up to your school rank.
So cool. It adds one there, and I haven't gotten into the full mode of you. I don't know if I've used it. So
I don't think so. No, like the thus far. Well, because I think the things invocations that you have learned thus far have all been like fire or like ones that have been particularly in your strong areas. So when you start making use of air stuff is when I imagine.
Exactly. And there's a little trickiness about it because. A lot of times the invocation, there can be some pretty interesting, useful, custom opportunity spends. Yeah. But they're attached to the original. So you have to just be mindful that, you're not counting on using one of those because it's, you're switching. So
one thing that I should mention, I don't have it with me in front of me, but one of the things that has released since the time of our last session was the Adventures in Rokugan book. So the the 5th edition not companion but conversion, I guess, of this has come out, and I got a copy here, and we've got PDFs of it as well. And one of the things that I think is, we were talking, I can't remember if it was on stream or afterwards, but we were talking about sort of like the pace of play with this version of the game, and how like with 2 players this is great because you get a lot of chance to soak up the scene, as it were, and there's a lot of texture to the game. The 5th edition version is a much more streamlined and much more kind of keep things moving type game. There is not nearly the type of opportunity spans and whatever else that's in that. So it's an interesting. However, I mean, I guess the reason I bring it up is only because while we did talk about the pace of play and like the challenges you might have with keeping a decent pace of play with, say, 5 players. While the 5 Rings version or the 5th edition version of Legend of the Five Rings might be a faster pace play, and probably would be, I think, a good choice for a larger party that wants to play in Rokugan. I think that it still does lose some of the nuance and some of the like those little bits of opportunity spend. Which is a long way of saying, you mentioned the opportunity spends with your spells. This game, you mentioned this when we were first picking characters for this, Sean, but like the game and the setting, it asks a lot of players. It definitely asks you to not only, be learning the world and where you're setting in, and I think the game mechanics reward that sort of engagement, but it does ask a lot of you. Like, there's a lot of stuff to keep track of. There's a lot of things to keep track of in the game. Didn't
you say they took out Bushido for the most part out of Adventures?
Yeah, like the way that they do it, because 5th edition has an inspiration. I haven't read it fully yet. I've only sort of like poked at different areas of it because it's like a 400-page rule book. But it gives a way, in a similar way that like role playing is strongly encouraged with this, by way of your like motivations and your distinctions, your adversities, your passions and whatnot. In that one, your motivations and the conflict they have what's effectively the Code of Bushido, that is, call it Okoto's law or Okoto's code. In that, and then what it is like you'll get inspiration, which is like having an opportunity to roll with 2 dice and taking the better one instead of rolling just 1 dice. You do that through this motivation system. So by playing up conflicts between your obligations pursuant to the Code of Okoto and your own personal things. So they do have a way of playing up the samurai drama the way they do in this game. It's just a much more streamlined version. A more pejorative way of saying it would be it's a simplified version, but I think that the design goal with that game is to have a much faster paced game. So all of which to say, like, we're playing with this game still, and we're going to continue playing with this game. But if you are looking for a different play experience at the table that is less, that asks less of the players and plays at a faster pace, that might be a better fit for it. Whatever complaints people have about the 5th edition conversion and blah, 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 I can't speak to that. But just as far as the high level, like, what your play experience is going to be, combat will be faster, task resolution will be faster, character creation will be relatively simple, character advancement will be substantially simple, and the term I like that you use, Sean, the latency between deciding to do something and seeing the outcome in the fiction is going to be a lot shorter for that game. So
I would say the 4th edition too is faster. It's a little faster. L5R 4th.
Most definitely, yeah. Yeah. I can't remember. Is this 5th or is this 4th?
I think this is 5th, which is confusing, of course, because every time you say 5th, everyone assumes you mean D&D.
Yeah. I know. It's because to be difficult, Shadowrun is in 6th now, and I routinely have to count up to be like, okay, no, that's not. Okay, right, 6th edition. Yeah. Technically, it's the 6th World Edition, but in any event. So obviously, I mean, what might be fun at some point is to do a war story. Not with necessarily these characters, but set in here, where we take the thing out for a spin, something that's like a scene that, or a short story that might suit that system better, which also might be an introduction for James to 5th edition.
A world first. This will be my first 5th edition book to read and go through Adventures of Rokugan.
That's funny.
But
that'd be good.
Yeah, all which is to say, if you're a fan of 5th edition Legend of the Five Rings, and you're finding that the pace of play in this game as we're playing it is not to your liking, it may be worth checking out the 5th edition supplement. It does have the same design standards that this does. Like it's not just 5th. One of the things that I was leery of for picking it up was the experience with the 3.5 or 3rd edition conversion, which was there was a couple of interesting design decisions in it, but it was for the most part just D&D, but with samurai and shugenja. This one really does seem like it's trying to make it's like taking the core mechanic and twisting it to fit specifically the experience they want. So
I think that fits with that's why I have a look at it, because it's Cubicle 7 again, and those guys did Adventures in Middle Earth, and from what I hear they did a great job. And I regret not having got that series.
I think you're going to have a second opportunity, because I think that they're not Cubicle 7, but the new publisher is doing a 5th edition
Yes, the Free League's doing their version, So that looks like it could be good. That's out in you can pre-order in October, I think, and then it comes out in first quarter next year. Could be good.
Yeah,
they're good, and I'm sure this one will be good as well.
Nice. All right. So, but speaking of, that set aside, sorry for the diversion. Just it was fresh. It was on my mind, and I mean, if anyone is curious about whether it's worth checking out, it's not a cheap PDF. Is the thing too. It's not. So it's doing what a lot of small publishers are doing, which is premium pricing the PDFs as well as the print books. So, but whatever. So for this campaign, though, guys, what happened last time? I went back and looked over, and we had a couple of there were a couple of developments, and then there was a pretty exciting chase that occurred. But what happened last time? Let me see if I can.
It was all of it's in that precinct. So we had finished outside a Eureka precinct, and I was hanging. I had been drinking for maybe for more than one reason, but I was hanging back. I'd been drinking in a tavern. I'm sure for we started in the tavern.
Nope, we started with a visit from your sister-in-law.
Oh, right. So
it's easy to forget that.
Yeah, pleasant as always. So that's right. So we started there where and she set me off again. And she won again, and so out she storms, and so I did what any reasonable samurai would do, and went immediately to the tavern for a whole plate full of sake.
And that place that you had been drinking with that crab, which Inzaberto as well.
Yeah, I was looking for him. I mean, now he's not there. Now, great. Before every other time I go in there, he's there. To my detriment. Now I'm looking for him. Where are you? What were you saying, James? What was it?
The good thing is you went to the bar to drown your memories of your sister, and you succeeded.
Yeah, I did. I really did. Yeah, I did. And then Gorobei fished me out.
Yep. I think the most significant development from your meeting with your sister, sister-in-law, apart from the general antagonism, I believe was the suggestion that you may not be able to trust your partner, Gorobei.
Oh yes, yeah. Right. That was the match. That was the thing that set me off. That because of potential conflict of interest of the Crane clan, a piece of evidence we'd found, and Gorobei's a Crane, and so and her spreading her usual nonsense. A combination of that and her just trying to prick her. Get her brother's hackles up, and she succeeded.
Yep.
And then off I went to solve it in the proper samurai way. And then Gorobei fished me out of my solution full of sake.
And I think it was Gorobei who had two. I can't remember. I thought it was Gorobei. You're the one who had the visitor from the Sapun?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was tweaking his tail a bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you remember what he had come to ask about?
Yeah, he was also sniffing around the crime, as it were. And I'm just trying to remember. He was trying to detect if there was any secrets that affected. I think was the main gist of his search, but we seem to.
What he was asking for is for an update from you on the investigation.
On the murder, and I told him it was a murder, but I gave him a lot of high-level information, but nothing terribly pertinent. Yeah. So I gave him the big facts, but not any of the details involving the jewelry we found, or even mentioning that there was a shinobi involved.
And
so
also,
I kind of glossed over it.
Yeah, and that was you had not met the what's his name, Toyoza-san before, and it is. As a member of the Sapun Imperial Guard, doesn't have any direct authority over you or any direct involvement with this. So it is unusual, though not. I mean, when they're in certain kinds of investigations, like the murder of a samurai, then it's not unusual to see other parties come in. But the murder of a Ronin, like a waveman, these guys pass without any family, without any. And I mean that's the thing that really matters when you pass on and you have someone else who can carry on your name, and you give your name back to your ancestors at your passing. That matters. But when you're a waveman, you don't have any connection with that. So who gives a shit? Or who at least should give a shit.
Right.
So.
But he seemed to leave satisfied enough with the little that I had told him.
Yep. And then I believe it was Gorbe who got word that they had captured Ryozo. Oh, sorry, Ryobo, I think is that his name? Who was the samurai you were trying to track down?
Oh, the witness, so-called, or
yeah, Ryobo, right?
Let's see.
That was the one, the witness that you were trying to track down.
I had Kosaku. Is that wrong?
Kosaku is, let's see. It is Kosaku, yeah. No, I think you're right. Sorry, I've got it written down wrong. So Kosaku was the...
Stated that the was assaulted by gamblers, that Yorinaga was assaulted by gamblers.
Yeah.
And he was the one tied up, right? I mean...
he was the one who was captured, tied up, and then... he was the one who was killed. That was where the last half of our session was mostly that. So what happened there?
Gorbe started, I was hanging back because I was, I think I was holding my own, but I was full of sake. So Gorbe took the lead. And just in case some nonsense happened, our solution was that I would hang back for Plan B in case the worst happened or something.
So I went into went inside with the I've got it. Was it Yoriki? Yeah, with the Yoriki and his sidekicks, and they were proud as punch because they had caught the suspect or the witness who we were trying to pursue anyway. But when we went in to inspect him, he had been assassinated by a shinobi. We realized he had been he was killed in his cell by someone on the roof. So with that, Jinzaburo chased after the assassin, running along the roofs while Gorobe ran along the streets underneath. Until it all went wrong with Jinzaburo.
Yes. Not helped by any means by the caltrops left by the shinobi as he pursued him. And after hitting that,
weapons.
Yeah, most definitely. And after hitting that patch is when Jinzaburo took a tumble and nearly fell off the roof. Fortunately, you were able to catch yourself, and Gorbe was able to help you down. But unfortunately, your suspect left. Jinzaburo, you did make use of some an invocation to the water kami to restore your health. But you are running pretty hot right now. It looks like you're stressed, and I think what we can do two things. We can stay if there are things that you guys wish to do. You still have yet to inspect the body. I think transitioning from the scene of the chase until the scene in the of the aftermath of it. I think. Depends on whether you think you take a break. Like if you take a moment or two to sort of catch yourself before you go in, I'll let you drop your strife down to half of your threshold. Once again, half of your what is it? Composure? No.
Yeah.
Is it composure?
Like
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Composure is the threshold.
Yeah. So what we see is so you just finished up casting invoking the assistance of the kami to heal your wounds that you sustained, or at least most of them. You're not standing in the streets of the outskirts of Otosanuchi, not the outskirts, but the outer ring And what do you do? So we can, I guess first off, what do we see with Jinzaburo? How is he expressing his frustration right now?
I think he, I think in this case, because it's over, you know, like in that alley, it was in the midst of it. So, you know, burning everyone seemed to make so much sense. And so now, though, it's over. So now it's a more sullenness, I think. So he's like, he's near that fountain, I want to say, that we said, you know, he was partaking of with the water. That's where his water kami were coming from. And I think he sat on the side of that fountain. And he did his thing, you know, he called up the kami and they kind of danced around his, you know, his legs and whatnot. And then he just, you know what, he pulled up his, what would you call it? What do they have? He's wearing a
kimono?
A kimono, yeah.
Okay.
So he pulls up his kimono. It is that simple. His kimono, and he's got his feet in the fountain, and he's got his head. You know, he's got his head, and he's playing with his and he's playing with his top knot, you know, or whatever, what have you, you know, whatever he has going on there, and he's kind of lost in reverie, like, you know, wow, you know, like this is, you know, Emerald Magistrate, you know, like, woo, you know, that was impressive. That was impressive, Jinzaburo. You know, this kind of internal discussion, you know, this kind of.
What is Gorobei? How is Gorobei responding? I think he helped Jinzaburo down from the roof at first. What has he been doing while Jinzaburo's been, you know, invoking this and dealing with his invoking the kami and dealing with his injuries?
I guess he'll be looking on bemused as ever with this new fiery spirited type. Yeah. But
I'm picturing that Jinzaburo's probably, you know, that like panting that drunks, like when the over, you know, exaggerated kind of. Everything is
and he's feeling sorry for himself, and he's being dramatic, you know. He's
okay.
I'm seeing a pattern there.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm seeing a pattern there.
Indeed. Yes. I mean, he's like losing face every other scene, so it's easy to you know. Yes.
So then it sounds like you're going to have an opportunity to catch your breath, and before we transition to a different scene. So why don't you drop your strife down to 4? And I think Gorobei, you're mercifully free of both strife and fatigue at this point. So
absolutely.
Cool.
What happens to transition us from Jinzaburo staring at the water to go on to whatever happens next? Is it that Jinzaburo finally collects himself and gets out of the fountain, or is it that Gorobei says something to him? What do you guys think?
Yeah, Gorobei says, after a while, Gorobei just says, "You done yet?"
You know, so I come out of my reverie, and you know, and he's looking for. I think he's preferring some kind of. He's preferring some kind of. We almost got him or something, but probably Gorobei is going to, you know, needle him. I mean, he'll, you know, be good natured, but oh man. And he like fine. And he takes his feet out of the water and he looks around and he realizes, you know, it's in public and, you know, get your shit together. All right. And
one of the things that typically happens with when samurai are embarrassing themselves is like those of lower casts are basically just ignore it. They do their best to like avoid attention and whatnot so as not to draw the ire of an embarrassed samurai. So that's sort of what's
he'll probably believe the deceit. He'll completely believe that deceit, and you know, no one saw this. It's all good.
Get out.
I guess sometimes samurai will set up as very stiff. I think I also lean into Gorobei in Seven Samurai, who's very much the jovial, straight talker, and but he's not standing on ceremony.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, after Gorobei collects him, he'll get himself together and you know, retie his accoutrements and everything else, and follow. And he's going to take Gorobei's cue for. I mean, he'll suggest, let's go in. I'm ready. Let's go in.
Well, looking around too, like you realize that you are, God, like you're so new to Oto Sanucci, you don't know where the hell you are even.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even going to try to know where I am. I just look at Gorbey. Like, okay, well, lead on.
So, Gorbey, what happens next?
Right. So I think with that, we will reappear outside the Yoriki station.
Okay. As you're approaching, what you can hear is I think it was Udamaro was the name of the Yoriki, and you can hear him berating and striking his lieutenants as you guys are coming, and you hear it well before you get there. So it's really, it does not appear to be a performance. If you want to check more closely, where's my DM screen here? I think they are. You could try skullduggery. And water, or you could try.
Okay. I'll do that.
Sentiment and water, I think, as well.
I'll do skullduggery.
Okay. I did not tell you the difficulty, so you would get a void point. So let's see. You can keep 3 dice here. You got 1 exploding success with strife, and then some opportunities. So, what are you thinking here?
I'll just take the exploding and the 2 opportunities without any
extra strife. Okay, so give us another ring dice roll. Nice. Okay, so you get 2 strife out of this, and then you have 2 opportunity. So what I can tell you with just from your success, and then you can decide how to spend your opportunity. There's absolutely no way that these guys are putting things on. He is genuinely freaking out about this. Or at the very least, he seems genuinely angry at what's happened here. So there does not appear to be any subterfuge here. The reason for his anger is something you might be able to get with some opportunity spends.
Yeah, well, I'll use one then. Do I get an impression? Does he let slip why he's so unusually peeved?
Let's see here. So you got 2. I think I'm not going to charge you more than you should. That's conflict. That's initiative. Other skill examples. Here we go. So here's what you could do. So with 1, you could spot something that is, beyond what is obvious with your initial success. There's another one of adding a kept ring dice set to a opportunity for your next social roll before the end of the scene. So you could do that as well to guarantee yourself an opportunity in the next roll, or you could spend it on however you like. You could also with water. What is it? 1 spend.
Gets rid of 2, isn't it?
No, that's earth. Oh wait. No, hold on. Yeah, you're right. Spend one to remove 2 strife from yourself.
I'm feeling chilly, so I will do that. I'll get my extra piece of info and.
Sure. So there's a couple of things he's shouting at them. You get the feeling. Remember the impression you got of Udamaro when you first met him, right? Like this is a Yoriki for sale, as it were. And it seemed like he may have thought that he found a new patron, someone else who would be favoring him. The fact that he went out and found this Ronin the same night that you requested it of him, and then he reported in the middle of the night, that's a pretty eager beaver, as it were. Yep. The notorious, beavers of Rokugan. The Beaver Clan mostly specializes in maple syrup and hockey. So that counts as Canadian content, right?
Oh, nice. like a pro. Like a pro.
Oh, so the what you get the impression is that that's what he's furious about, is that he was hoping to get on with another getting on with other like minor samurai and having people who are, you know, players, as it were, within the outer ring, the outer district. And it's driving me nuts. I'm going to look it up quickly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a post-it, and I'm going to put these names on the thing here, because I always forget the name of the different districts. I forget the names. I fortunately know where to look it up, but in any event, he seems to think that he was going to be able to get some kind of you know, patronage with an Emerald Magistrate.
Well, imagine how upset he'd have been to realize how that wasn't going to happen.
The Toshi Soto, that's the outer district. Toshi Soto and the Echo Hikai is the interior. All right. So, that's the context you have for when you guys are approaching the Yuriki station. You know, shouting, "Ow!" and he's hitting his lieutenants. What happens next?
What do you think, Gorbet? It seems pretty dramatic.
Yep, so I'll just... I'll tap on the door frame.
They turn to you, and seeing that it's you, they immediately drop down to their knees, and they're doing this sort of like sobbing play acting that is sort of expected of a you know, a subordinate to a superior for this, pleading forgiveness for what's happened, pleading that they tried, they did not know what happened here, and they had no involvement with it whatsoever. You take it as it is definitely, there's an element of obsequiousness to it, or at least of them trying to solicit your, you know, forgiveness, but it does seem at its heart to be genuine.
Yep, so I will let them know.
And they've...
Unimpressive that you managed to catch him and get him killed at the same time. What sort of a jail are you running here?
It even seems harsher coming from the jovial Gorobei, you know.
I know. I'm not using my skills to soften things.
Yeah. And they're all just pleading, like, please, please. Technically, I think you would be able to, while they aren't directly reporting to you, you certainly could strip them of their station. You could have them removed as Yuriki with some doing. Jinsaburo, you can see past, you know, what's going on in here now more clearly than you were when you were hanging out outside. And what you can see is there's the one room, and then there's a sliding door. And in the second room, it looks like it's more of like a storage room. There's not really a proper, like, or at least where this guy was, he was tied to a post. There wasn't a proper, like, jail or whatever. And his body is still being propped up. There's a pool of blood that's has accumulated around his body, and the whole front of his you know, brown kimono, which still looks like, and I mean, he has the look of someone who was roughed up before he died, because his kimono's not tied up properly. It's sort of like someone has manhandled him and then not bothered to allow him to correct it. But he's slumped over, and you cannot see his face from where his head is slumped over, but you recognize the kimono and the, you know, way his hair is worn as the man that you saw sort of that you tried chasing out of the, I think it was the Blue Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think as he was standing next to Gorobei, he feels drawn towards being, like, wanting to be kind of fiery towards this failure that cost him so much, but he realizes in his kind of diminutive state at this mental, you know, emotional state at this point that, okay, well, you know, their boss was yelling at them, and Gorobei's disappointed, so he just kind of shuffles to the back to you know, to deal with next steps, and starts without touching anything. He's like on his haunches, and, you know, observing real closely.
Sure.
The body. Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's. What is it that you want to look at first here, or what are you thinking of? Are you trying to
the wound?
The wound itself?
The wound, the obvious. You know, I'll work my way out from obvious to less obvious, and so we'll start with the wound, and then go to the rest of the body, and then probably the environment.
So let's do this. Let's set the difficulty at 1, and I think this will be, since it's the wounds, it'll be a medicine and probably water, potentially. I think potentially fire as well. Fire is theorize the possibilities. Analyze is air. So,
and I'll say void is instinct, so it's it's possible.
Maybe, yeah, instincts or hunch. Yeah, I buy that too.
Because he's mainly a fiery and void guy with a bit of water once in a while too.
And I think like theorize definitely fits with the whole like Holmesian-esque investigation that he has done thus far. That was, I believe, the thing that led him to the insight of where the attack like must have come from when what's his name, Yornaga, the Ronin whose murder you're investigating, where he died, and also it was your insight of like why the wound was probably in the place it was likely someone calling a name, right?
Yep.
So why don't you give us a medicine and fire roll? Difficulty will be a 1.
All right. Medicine. Where am I going here? Where is it? Oh, there it is. All right. Medicine and fire?
Yes, please. Nice. Very nice. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got at least 3 successes there, with or if you're in fire stance, 4 successes.
Yep, with a exploding.
And you keep 3. Yeah, you could keep all 3 of those. You want to do that?
I think that's the call. So I'll take all the these ring dice.
Yep. Go ahead and give us another ring dice roll. Let's see what you get. So you got 4 successes already. Holy shit.
He's focused now. Oh.
5, 6 successes. Go ahead again. 7, 8 successes. 8 successes about this with 0 opportunity. So you are getting. There will be 3 strife from it, though. So you are getting a little hot here. But there's a lot you're going to learn.
And that's obvious because this is the guy. This guy could be key, and he's looking at his dead body. So it's no question if he's like. Now what with this guy dead,
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that will be standing out here. So first off, what in the physiology, what you can tell is you're looking down where the shuriken is lodged into his throat. For one, it is the same kind of like the way that. It said that the katana is the soul of a samurai, and it is the elaborate construction behind those weapons is sort of reflective of the importance that is put into them, with incredible amounts of time folding steel and 2 different kinds of metal and blah 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 to make it both rigid and also able to or flexible and also able to keep an edge. In contrast, a shuriken is made with the most, the most basic of metals. So it seems almost like a weapon. The materials almost seem beneath the station of the samurai to have been the implement of his murder. But it is expertly placed right in, where the most vital part is, and you can't help but notice that. And this one, and you didn't notice this on the other body, but perhaps because he fell in a different way, but where this has fallen down, it's fallen down onto one of the sharp bits of it. So there is blood coming from his, like the bottom of his chin, and then also from his neck, as if it lodged itself in, and then the weight of his body pushed it down on one of the other pointy bits. The placement of this is almost identical to what you theorize as the murder, like how the murder was committed on the other Ronin. While you may remember the other Ronin did have a bunch of other markings on his body, for where people stabbed and whatever else. The one that seemed to be the murder source of his murder was that point in his neck. In this case, there's no distracting other wounds. It is obvious what has been placed here. It also is obvious that it would only, if it came from atop the way that you guys think it has been, similarly, the head would have had to have been up in order to expose that specific area. He's on his knees, he's tied to a pole, and he's looking down. Like the comfortable way to be there is like that, to crane your body up and look your head up like that, there must have been something to specifically draw this this poor man's, well, I mean, dead man at least, his attention.
And as we'd thought before, maybe his name, would do the trick.
His name spoken, yeah, that most definitely would have been, and by potentially a familiar name, right?
Voice.
Yeah, familiar voice. And I think if you look over too, you can see that there is a whoever you were pursuing. It seems as if they have some kind of claw marks, or they must have been having some kind of, not claw, but like climbing claws on, because you can see the markings in along the side of the beams on the top. So someone snuck their way in here and then, affected the execution or assassination of this man, and then, made their way out. There are, because you rolled so well, even though you were looking at the medicinal stuff, there's two other things that sort of stand out on this. One is that you think you can see, and you can picture that you're carrying like one of the paper lanterns in here to be able to get proper lighting on this guy and the crime scene. You can see that near the on his shoe that's still attached to his foot, there is it's kind of come free a little bit, and you think you can see, is there a false bottom in the shoe? It seems to have come free either in the course of his struggles or somehow. But you can picture he's got the sandal on, but the arch of his foot is such right now that you can see where his foot would normally be flush with the sandal. Part of that has come away, almost as if there's a hidden compartment in the sandal.
I will get even lower and poke at that a little bit gently to see what's going on.
Yeah, I think so. You don't want to touch the body because it would result in spiritual impurity.
What about the clothes of a dead man? Is that the same rules? Do we know?
You can, as long as you're not physically touching the body, I think that you are fine. It's touching dead flesh is what Rokugani believe leads to spiritual pollution. Mm-hmm. And what you could do is, if you draw your wakizashi, say, or I don't think you carry a knife either.
I know. I was checking that too right now. I don't think so.
So if you draw your wakizashi and sort of push at it, what you see is there are a couple, as you sort of have to push to the side, but what tumbles out is and not out like.
Oh, I do carry a knife.
Oh, do you?
It
okay.
Looks like it's on my.
Probably better than the wakizashi. A wakizashi is an ancestral weapon, so. Probably not the good thing to be poking at dead bodies with your, great grandfather's blade.
Right.
So you draw your what is it? A tanto? I think is what is the
tanto,
knife that has no.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So you draw that and you sort of push it to the side, and what you see by pushing the foot out a little bit is the false bottom falls away, and you can see that there are some coins concealed in there. Mm-hmm. Probably a typical way for a Ronin or a Waveman to carry their coins around and not worry about getting stolen by gamblers or unscrupulous innkeepers or whatever. But the thing that's not unusual. Keeping some coin secured on your person in a way, especially if it's bigger denominations, not a unusual development. What is curious about this is the almost pristine silver that the coins are. The way they catch the light is quite unlike any coin you've seen in circulation. It is similar to the coin that you found spilled underneath that building at the scene of the crime, of Yorinaga's murder.
And are the coin denominations of any note?
It would be the identical denomination to what you found underneath the building.
Gotcha.
Near where Yorinaga was murdered.
And I'll make sure there's nothing else in the hidden compartment, just the coins.
Sure. If you push the sandal aside with your tanto, you can knock that out. That's all that's in there. And there is a couple of other coins that don't match that, but there are 2 that do. That look like they may have come from the same, fresh from the smithy kind of circulation or quality that you did find on that coin underneath the house.
Gorbet, do you think you come back after you're initially handling the?
Yeah, you can enter yourself in here, Gorbet. You can see that Jinzaburo is undertaking a careful examination of the body.
Gorbet, have a look. There was a hidden compartment in his shoe. Classic, perhaps Waveman compartment here, and the coin. Look how shiny, almost like our original victim had.
So that makes it quite clear they're connected, but I guess we had already made that connection before. But I wonder why there was coins sitting at the previous location, abandoned.
And you wonder if they were both paid. I mean, you would theorize that perhaps, well, we know these shiny coins came off this corpse, and you might theorize that the other coin, even though it wasn't on the body, it was nearby and is more likely to have come from the corpse than the attacker. Certainly the attacker on the roof. So they were both perhaps paid in some way. It came from payment, perhaps, of the same source, which is curious since they're both dead. And that source is peculiar with the peculiarity of these coins.
Let me throw, because you rolled so well, let me throw one other thing out there. What do you guys know about Yorinaga's life? The first victim.
He was... Did he work at the gambling house? Wasn't that the
I know, but nothing that I remember. I don't think we were really told anything.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything written. But
no, I don't think you guys have investigated. No, his who this person was, which is not an uncommon. If you're coming from the great clans, it's easy to think of what the hell's there to know about the Wavemen. They live a life that is completely foreign to you guys. They're samurai, but I mean the desperate scramble that the Wavemen undertake to eke out their existence while still trying to maintain their station. Who knows? Yeah,
we should find out more about him, Gorbet.
So I'll go back to I'll turn round and go back in with the Yoriki and just say, now, two murder victims. I need to know everything about these two. It's in your ward. You should know, or you should know how to find out. I expect to know by tomorrow lunchtime.
Okay.
Everything.
Let's do this. Let's have you give us... I think that's command as a skill. Yeah. And what are we thinking here? I think you're inciting them.
Yep.
With fire. That sounds right to me.
My worst one. What the hell?
Now you can spend a void point if you'd like. I know you only have the one, but I mean you can spend a void point to roll and keep an extra ring dice.
Okay, let's go give that a go.
And the difficulty for this would be, let's see here.
They should be feeling fairly desperate to please at this point.
Huh? Yeah, I think so. Let's put it at a 1 instead of a 2. Okay, 1 exploding success. You definitely got a success. Assuming you're keeping the success and the
And the opportunity. Yep.
Yeah, then go ahead and give us another ring skill dice roll, please. Nice. So 1 success and 2 opportunities and no strife, even though you're dipping into fire. What do you think of spending the...
I think I'll... Given it's far, can I make them appreciate that this is their... they need to redeem themselves here.
Yeah.
I'll make them realise I'm well pissed and...
Yeah.
This is their chance to make it up.
Okay.
Little inspiration for them.
Yeah. So one of the things that you can spend 2 opportunities on with fire is to notice something missing or out of place in the vicinity, but not directly related to the task. What I can do, because this is sort of, we're using this to model what they're going to come up with, we can have that apply, if you want to spend the opportunity on that, to whatever they're uncovering. They may uncover something else about this.
Yeah, that's good. Let's do that. Let's give it to them.
Great. Okay. So then they, he at first, Udamara is sort of bowing and insisting that he will do that. He'll do that. He'll absolutely do that for you. And then he immediately turns his wrath on his fellows and is like, "Get out there! He needs you to find this stuff." So I think get the full measure of this fellow with how quickly he tries to usurp, authority over the others, to blame them for the failure to keep your guys safe, or the witness safe. So he will send them out, leaving you behind, and then he insists that he has people to talk to. So he, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. He will personally be investigating this and following up with his leads. He will send word to you tomorrow.
Excellent.
Okay.
Do so, and I will turn on my heel and leave.
Okay.
Very dramatic fashion.
Are you leaving the Eureka station, or they're all heading out to do it?
No, in fact, I'll say, and make sure the corpse is taken to the coroner tonight.
Okay. He will, it will be to the Brotherhood of Shinsei. They're the ones who take care of that. There's not a proper coroner, like the way that they... That's just the way the funerary... Yeah, the funerary practices are done. But I mean, the body won't be cremated for, I believe it's like a week. So you have plenty of time for, but the brothers at the Brotherhood of Shinsei, they will take care of that. But he's going to send word immediately to make sure it's retrieved and whatever else. So the other thing I guess that occurs to you is there is, while we have been referring to you guys as partners in this, you do have a third magistrate who is acting on this. So, Jinzaburo, you have looked around and you've got, you think everything else. Do you have any questions about the scene? Because you've got so many successes. I'm happy to try and feed you extra information if you...
So I think he was trying to be methodical. And so he started with the obvious, with the wound, and then spread out to the rest of the body, found the shoe. He'll continue his close... without touching, observation of the corpse, anything to see if there's anything odd about that, and then spread out to the environment. So he'll look at the room and see if perhaps the killer had dropped anything, by chance, from his perch, and try to pinpoint exactly where Jinzaburo might think he was waiting up there, exactly where, because he probably wants to go on the roof and take a closer look at that spot, like he did at the first murder scene, to see if there's maybe a similar handle, whatever. I can't remember. There's probably a better term, but that. So he's looking at look at the body even more, and then the environment around the murder scene.
So you're able to get yourself up. I think this time you probably get a ladder rather than trying to get yourself up there. And there are folks in the immediate neighborhood who are able to supply you with that. You're able to get yourself up there with a lantern. I imagine that your inspection is taking you... It was fairly late at night, so it probably is getting closer to dawn when you're completing your investigations. But you find similar markings to what you, as far as like climbing devices or things to assist with running across rooftops here, as you did at the scene of the murder. As far as you think you know where the murderer made their way into it, and like they must be, equal acrobats to assassins, because the way that they managed to go, like, swing themselves down from the overhang and then crawl into the rafters of this and then extricate themselves the same way, like they're missing their calling as an entertainer, because it's you would be very. It would be very hard for you to imagine how you could successfully, do that without either hurting yourself or risking a neck-breaking fall.
Yeah, and I will share that with Gorbe at our next opportunity. That everything points to a very high-level enemy here. That they first of all that they use Shinobi at all. Like a very unusual type of killer. There's a lot of different kinds of killers, and that one. Is it correct, Kevin? Wouldn't come from a gang lord. It would come from a samurai lord, would it not?
Of this skill, yeah, most certainly. Like this is not some back alley cutthroat who just comes out and ambushes someone. This is someone with specific training. While you would it is obviously a dishonorable calling and is not something that is accepted as a noble pursuit appropriate to or suitable for a samurai. You have to begrudgingly recognize that the level of training that a shinobi goes through is commensurate with what samurai do as they're growing up, or shigenja do as they're growing up as well. There is a level of almost artistry and pursuit of perfection that comes from the shinobi that sets themselves as much apart from the back alley cutthroats as, say, like a child's first scribble would be in comparison to the perfect, execution of their art from a calligraphy master.
Yeah. So yeah, the shinobi at all, and then using a shinobi at all, and then this one seems to be very high level. And then the shiny coins suggests connections. Not something, not a mundane enemy. So everything suggests that the ultimate beyond the shinobi's master is going to be someone connected probably in the proper structure, not in the gang lord structure. So everything keeps pointing that direction, and I will share that with Gorbe the next time we are together.
Okay.
As he continues his observation of the room, and then when he's done with that, he will go, as you said, a ladder, and then to observe the roof.
Okay. So perhaps Gorbe, tell me if I've got this wrong, but he does strike me as the type to, when it's getting close to dawn, you perhaps go off and find some, nice warm, rice balls that some local has prepared. You thank them and whatnot, so that when Gorbe when Jinzaburo finishes his investigations or whatnot, he comes down to find a warm breakfast waiting for him.
Yes. It's he's known as a man who, a trencherman.
Yeah.
And
so you come down and
his heart.
What do you share with Gorbe? And I guess, Gorbe, you also, do you have anything you wish to do while Jinzaburo is conducting his proper investigations?
Well, I guess that for me, I'm just waiting for the Uriki to turn up with whatever the news is, so I can enjoy a long, slow breakfast while I wait for while the hard help do their work.
I wouldn't be, inappropriate for you to necessarily catch a couple of winks sleep as well too. You woke up in the middle of the night when all this happened, so. So, a bit of a nap, and then you get some food. So then, Jinzaburo, what do you share with Gorbe when you come down?
That there is nothing. Everything continues in the same direction. That the weapon landed in the almost identical same location as the original victim that this type of death strike required the victim to be looking up like the first one. There was no, as you'd imagine, there was no attempt at deceit of the wounds since, given he was in a cell. It was just an exceptionally clean kill. Then we have the coins in the shoe that are particularly shiny that match with the original victim, pointing to some kind of well capitalized and maybe even beyond that, very peculiar possessor of unseemingly fresh coins that had not been used perhaps ever, being possessed by both victims of Wavemen. What are they doing with these coins? It doesn't make much sense for them to have the coins, so it must make sense for whoever paid them to have the coins. And so we have to see who would have such shiny coins, which also dovetails with, as we've already discussed, we need to find out more about the original victim, what he was about, who this wave man hung out with, and perhaps worked for, since he possessed since it wasn't on his body, but we assess he must have possessed this shiny coin. They were both paid, interestingly, by the same person or organization, but probably person. I find myself possibly making the errant connection of that the person that paid them is the killer, but that's not necessarily true. It could be that that's the reason for their killing, not the identification of their killer. They're both paid by the same person of surely the same person of these shiny coins, but that doesn't mean. And they were killed by someone very connected. So I think that's the reason of the errant connection, perhaps errant, is because the person who killed them is connected, and the person that paid them is probably connected. Given these shiny coins, that doesn't mean they're the same connected person. So it could be that they worked for one very high level person that owns coins never before used in Rokugan, and killed by another very connected person who uses shinobi, very high level shinobi for killers. But in any case, these are all theories that I'm offering you.
Gorobe looks at Jinzaburo blankly and sucks up some more noodles.
And
it all sounds very complicated.
And then
but it seems careless that these two should have such distinctive coins, that somebody would let them have something that ought to be quite traceable, which leads me to think we should try and trace these coins. They're distinctive, they're unusual. Maybe
Indeed.
we can try and follow up on these.
Yeah, I think the coins, and we need to know more about the original victim, because we don't know really anything much about him, and which could help us with tracing the coins as well. What else? And just knowing that anyone, and that the killer used shinobi for their grisly purposes. So, a very good one, which will narrow the field a bit.
Yep.
And is well informed too. I mean, probably the Eureki, it's not going to be it's not a secret when they found this person and collected them and brought them. But at the same time, I mean, it was very timely knowledge. What if the ultimate killer and commander of the shinobi, the master of the shinobi, found out tomorrow, that this person had been collected, but they didn't. They found out today, and in time to have him killed, dispatch a killer before we could talk to him. I mean, it's very timely. This person is very on top of it. They're very well informed.
Now, curiously, for all of the skill of being an assassin, he's never done a good cleanup job after removing incriminating evidence like the jewelry and the coins. Now, I guess these were all hidden from initial sight, but nonetheless.
That is one curious point, too. It was you guys and your sister-in-law who independently identified the wound that killed Yorinaga as a shuriken wound. But there was no shuriken left behind last time.
Good point.
What import do you think that has?
Well, he threw it from the roof, then came down, picked it up, but didn't bother to clear up the rest of the mess.
It didn't spot it.
Which is rather strange.
I mean, I guess it was under that house, or it was under something. It was under, so he may have. It's possible he missed it in that case.
Well, no, whatever the murder weapon was in the first killing, in Yorinaga's killing, you guys have never found it. It's a theory that you guys had this specific type of injury would only have been caused by a very small, thin thing, and it was masked with the stabs and whatnot that the witness says killed him.
Oh, that's true. It'd be two things. I mean, perhaps, surely that the wound that was the fake wound, not the one that killed him, was done after the fact, because you kill him first, then you perform the larger wound that was meant to hide a shinobi's involvement. And that could have been done by the witness. It might not have been done by the shinobi, because we suspected that the witness might be in on it. Now he's dead, so we can't ask him. But so that was that. So it could be the witness collected is a possibility. That shinobi went on his way, as they do, quickly back into the night, and the witness, this when I just put it, we were just all talking about
Kosaku.
Kosaku did all the cleanup. He only did the obvious and didn't spot things that weren't out in the open, but he collected the weapon and performed the cover-up wound.
So that's curious. Why do you think someone would do that? If you came across samurai, certainly even wave men, they know what the impact of certain wounds are. It's one of the things you're trained, right, to strike for vital points. If you come across this body, I believe it was Jinzaburo who made the observation for it, where that hit the jugular. The body that they would have found where he collapsed, if he did do that, if he stumbled across this after or Yorinaga's body after the shinobi did his work, he would have found an enormous pool of blood and an obviously fatal wound in the jugular. Why would you then further mutilate the body and then claim that someone else came, that there was a bunch of gamblers who killed him instead?
It's so risky. I mean, there has to be payoff to it, and the only thing I can imagine right now to go to such length is he was in on it. He was part of the ruse, part of the killing team, if you will. I can't imagine any other reason you'd do so. It would make sense for him to rob the body, perhaps, as a third party that comes across it, doing something criminal but not connected to the killer. But that's not what happened. I mean, a fake wound? I mean, that begs belief. I mean, he's clearly in on it. I can't imagine any other reason you do such a thing, to collect such a dishonorable weapon, to keep it from the authorities, and then to pay a fake wound is beyond belief. He just had to have been in on it.
So that begs a couple questions. Is how did you're not Gorbe? It's not a wrong question to be asking. How did this assassin, if it is the same person, how did they know that Kosaku would be here?
Oh, in the precinct, you mean?
Yeah, and why did they leave the shuriken behind this time?
I mean, it's a little more believable to me. A little more believable to me in this second crime scene rather than the first. That it'd be a bit more risky. I mean, to get down there in the crime scene. I mean, in the first one, two things. First one, it seems like it's less risky for the shinobi to actually come down from his murder perch and involve himself in the crime scene. Now, I don't think that was necessary. I'm theorizing that's not necessary because Kosaku took care of that part. That the shinobi faded back into the shadows, and Kosaku took care of the mundane business of cover up and collecting the shinobi weapon, which was not meant to be found. This one, there was no assistant to do the cleanup. And I don't think the shinobi wants to risk jumping into a precinct of all places. This isn't an alley; it's a precinct. It's a whole nother matter, a whole nother area. that is it possible someone comes back and raises the alarm? I mean, Shinobi's skilled, but he doesn't want to take on 6 Yuriki or something, or risk that discovery at least if he can.
Let me ask an obvious question. Do you believe that the person you were pursuing on the roof was the assassin?
It seems the most likely by his skills and his presence in that moment.
So if that's the case, why would he be, or she, why would they be there?
I guess I may have made an assumption of, was I able to tell when the victim died? The
victim died like moments before you opened the door.
Okay, so that would make sense that the killer would still be there then. Like if you told me, well, actually, it looks like there's congealing and it was 6 hours ago, then that'd be weird. But then that would connect with him being the killer, presumably he or she being the. Could I see could I see a face or a no? So he or she being the killer, that's why they're there, because they killed them and it just happened. And there was probably no time and too high of a risk for the shinobi to actually involve himself in the crime scene. And the first one, there was an assistant to do so no reason for the shinobi to be involved in the crime scene. The second one, just not the opportunity, as well as the risk is higher in a precinct than an alley. So those are that's Shinobi's, that's Jinsaburo's.
Okay.
As he's rattling on as Gorbe eats all this,
Does that tell you anything about how, about how the assassin came to be there? Because if we think of the timing,
well, could have followed us, but because of the timing.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
But I would have equally, because there was some time passed between the guy being captured and held.
Yeah, because I sent a message to you, Gorbe, and then you had to go and collect Jinzaburo, and then you made your way over here.
I mean, probably something
But
needs to look into.
somebody could have seen the Yoriki picking this guy up and then gone and ordered the shinobi.
Where was it the guy was collected from again?
Did they say? They told us?
They did. A place, an inn called the Koi and Plum.
I mean, because of that delay because of the delay of telling us, him collecting and then holding him, and then our time to respond, I think it's reasonable that the ultimate the assassin's master is well connected enough to have just been informed. But we do have to consider the possibility whether a Yoriki perhaps leaked it. So it's a possibility. We don't have anything. I mean, I don't think we have anything directly to suggest that, but we have to consider that was the reason it's so timely, is because one of the Yoriki told
and that's a good point, just to talk about the world or the setting itself. Once again, it's just that there isn't the kind of like kind of like utility type spells that you see in like D&D or similar games in this. So it's not like there would be it would be unlikely there would be a magical suddenly spell that allows you to notify when your minions are being captured. You're right to be thinking of a more practical or mundane explanation for how all of this stuff happened. There isn't the kind of not elaborate, but like, high fantasy explanation for stuff. Magic is capable of many, many things, but it is more a tool in Rokugan than it is a plot contrivance or a plot, convenience thing.
Yep.
And back to the idea that the ninja was following us and therefore arrived at the same time. That seems a bit less likely, because if he'd just been following us and not the Yoriki, he wouldn't know to go in, or she wouldn't know to go inside to kill the prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
So they were focused on the prisoner, not us.
Yeah, I know. I agree. That would raise the level of difficulty on them. Even knowing, right, as you say, they'd be less well informed following us than if they followed the Yoriki, in which case they'd be well informed, having had time to see the prisoner, identify them, whatever, all that, where they're being held, setting up the kill. So I agree. I think they're on the Yuriki, not us. It would be I agree that that's more likely.
I mean,
with the Yuriki possibly being a leak.
Yeah, Gorbe, what's your assessment of the what's the word I'm looking for? The ability to resist corruption of this particular Yoriki.
Oh yeah, clearly this guy's as bent as a €3 coin. So.
So then that perhaps he may be open for other, or open and available for other.
But it seems unlikely from what we overheard that he was involved in any way with the
100% not. Yeah,
elimination.
You definitely get the impression that the way he was reacting, he wasn't. When you guys came in and they fell down and started sobbing, that's performing the appropriate, that's demonstrating the appropriate emotion that was expected of him in that instance. The way he was reacting to the other guys without you being there, with him yelling at them for that, there's no performance being going on there. That was him genuinely angry at what happened. So
perhaps it's possible that, because there's different levels of corruption, and it's possible that he told someone that he should not have, but that doesn't mean he expected his prisoner to be assassinated. So these are two different things, and so he still may have been a tool, but an unknowing one. I mean, he was a low-level corruption, not a Yuriki turned assassin assistant, and he was surprised as anyone that this happened.
Most definitely.
He was taking money for the Yuriki Christmas ball, but not
right.
Exactly. More than that.
Right. We got this new ice machine, guys. It's awesome.
Right, from someone that he should not have. Yes,
exactly.
Indeed.
So Anna has come in to remind me that we're at our mid-session break. So why don't we take our mid-session break right now, guys, and we'll come back and see what the Yuriki have drummed up in the interim. So we'll be back momentarily. Okay. Every time I see that particular dragon one, I think of Shadowrun. It just looks like the, that Pacific Northwest First Nations symbol that they always use as the ampersand or the S in Shadowrun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here we go. All right, guys. So while it'll be it won't be until noon around around noon when the Eureki and his underlings get back from their investigations. Is there anything else you guys wish to do in the interim? One thing you'll be able to do, Jinzaburo, is you can drop your strife back down to a 4 once again. So we're transitioning from one scene to another.
I say to Jinzaburo, you really must learn to relax a bit, Eat some. I feel you don't eat enough.
Unsurprisingly, Gorobei knows precisely the places to go for noodles and for rice balls in in this district.
Definitely partakes of that. He's going to partake of some sleep. Another good food and sleep and besides that, we'll probably just wait to undertake one of our other leads.
How much of a drinker do you think that Jinzaburo is?
I don't think he's much of a regular drinker. I think he's, he's more of a...
Yeah. So the reason I ask is because the hangover he is likely to have when noon comes around, if he stopped drinking the night before, after having tied one on quite badly, I imagine he is handling it quite poorly. So perhaps that might be why Gorobei is like, you really should try this, and this is wonderful. And he's like, no.
Yeah. He's, he'll probably try some bites, and he's also pretty subdued at the, part of why he was subdued at the precinct and wanting just to go be by himself with the body. He'd rather be with the corpse at that point than all the drama out in the, with all the Eureki. And, but he was still though, this is such a poignant situation that even though that I think he's only going to remember about his hangover once he's kind of dumped all his thoughts on Gorobei, at breakfast, because it's so fresh and it's such a big deal. It's huge. The wit is just assassinated, like it's crazy. Yeah. Shinobe, and this is unbelievable. This is Emerald. If only there was an Emerald Magistrate available, and wait, it's us. And so he's very, he's very animated and excited. It's kind of his poor physical condition was overcome by his animation, and this is the thick of it. He's just chasing a shinobi over roofs. Are you kidding me? This is it. Like this, what? If you don't like this, you got to find something else to do. Like this.
This is also within your first week of moving to Otosanuchi.
Right.
So.
Like it's crazy. So, but after he's dumped everything on, all his thoughts on Gorobei, at that point, his physical condition reminds him that, okay, time to lay down in a corner somewhere, grab your rice ball and then go collapse in your room. So I think that's probably...
Okay. Gorobei, what about yourself? Anything you wish to be doing apart from enjoying the food and whatnot?
No, just waiting for the guys to turn up.
Okay. I think Jinzaburo is napping inside while you're sitting on the, enjoying whatever, maybe like some tea or just, enjoying the scenery, sitting on sort of the actually, I got us on the wrong screen here. Let me move us over to the streets of Otosanuchi. There we go. All right. So you're sitting out in the throngs of people are making their way around for whatever they're planning on doing today when finally the Eureki and his underlings are all sort of slowly trickling back from elsewhere in the, from elsewhere in their investigations. And there are a couple of particularly interesting things that they are able to bring back to you. For one, you can see that the Eureki, actually, I guess they wouldn't trickle back. It would be he would have, Udamaro would have insisted that they all kind of come to him, and then he brings it all back to you. So here are some of the things that they bring back. Yorinaga, you were asking about whether he was employed, in some, or what he was doing. He seems to have spent an awful lot of time at the Blue Lantern as well. And word about the district is that he was kind of a general purpose leg breaker for him, which is one of the things you could do as a wave man in the big city. The other thing, he also stayed, just like Kosaku, he was living at the Koi and Plum. And this is the thing that's the kind of an aside. Word around the sort of, the district is the proprietor of the Koi and Plum is a guy named Utsu. And it seems like there is a unspoken agreement where Utsu will kind of, so that all of the folks working for boss Yotaka can all be in the same place, is they all sort of stay there. So whatever, people that work for boss Yotaka, they all stay at the Koi and Plum. But the scuttlebutt is that Yorinaga and Utsu's wife, Eriko, may have been a bit of a thing. So let me put some of these names in chat for you, because I'm sure. For Yori. And of course, you guys have seen Boss Yotaka already, because that is whose table Kosaku was sitting at when you guys were at the Blue Lantern last. That does appear to be everything they know about it. They ask if there's anything further they need you to do. They don't know where, as far as, where he came from before he came to Otosanuchi. I can tell you that Yorinaga has been in Otosanuchi for about 6 months, maybe a little bit longer than that. They don't know where he came from, but wavemen, there's a reason that they're called that. The Ronin come and go. They go where, when they've worn out their welcome in one place, they will just pick up and head on somewhere else. Sometimes showing up in a small town beset by 2 different rival gangs and trying to set them against one another, as an example.
Hypothetically. However, the fact that Yorinaga and Eriko were involved, it seems highly unlikely that Utsu is hiring high-end ninja.
It would be unthinkable to unless they had unless there was some kind of connection with it. That's even less likely than a Yakuza boss hiring an assassin to kill a Ronin.
Yep. Yeah, just get some thugs to do it or whatever.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, is that if boss Yotaka wanted to have this guy killed, it could have been exactly the way that that the witness has described. A bunch of gamblers jump on the guy, as almost happened to you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that necessarily fits the fling. We'll have to keep that in mind, but I don't know where it fits with the intrigue, since not even Yotaka, much less Utsu or Eriko, likely doesn't have any reasonable connection to Shinobi, so or access to one. So we'll have to just keep that in our pocket and keep comparing it to new information we have to see if it even has a part. The fling plays a role in, I think, in what's happened.
Yeah.
I can't think of any additional tasks for them at this very moment, Gorbet.
No, I mean it's there's some info here. It's all tied together, but I think maybe we have a little investigate on the coins.
Yes, the coins and the original victim of like what if we can find it. We never really got too much. Oh, that's it. We got filled that in, didn't we?
Yeah,
so we're good with that.
Yorinaga and Kosaku were both residents at the Koi and Plum. Atsu, the owner of the Koi and Plum, appears to work in some way, or at least have some kind of relationship with Boss Yotaka, because it's an open secret that the people who work for him stay at the Koi and Plum.
Yep. So maybe Koi and Plum. Utsu and Koi Plum, possible. I don't know if that's a hot lead, but it's a possibility. Have a word with the man and see what he has to say for himself. His relationship with Yotaka, because he clearly, obviously knows who Yorinaga is. Whether how close his relationship with Yorinaga, the man having a fling with his wife. We don't know how well he knows him, but. I don't know. We could have a word with him, see if anything pops, see if he can be pressed into releasing some kind of information about who was at his place. But it's a thought, just to add it to if we're looking for people to question.
Yeah, we could go with that. Give it a go with Utsu. Let him wind him up a bit. See if he'll let words slip.
That plus the coins. Yeah, the coins is a obvious good one.
Okay.
And we don't have motive. We're struggling on motive here. That's
I think
there's an old Rokugani saying, "Cui bono." Who profits?
Exactly. So that's why we have to go back, follow the money back. So, who would we ask on the? Go away.
You made it a call on that for calling on minting. That's, I believe, it's the Mia. I think the Mia are effectively the bankers of the Empire, so it's one of the three imperial families: the Sapun, the Otomo, and the Mia. Let me double check that. I think that's the case, though. But so that would involve calling on contacts with kind of like adjacent to the imperial court. So this would be getting into some courtier territory.
Well, I had been wondering if. Sepun Toyoza might have some. I mean, I'm sure he's not a coin collector, but might possibly recognize it of being in circulation in some place or another.
Yeah, you could certainly
or some significance of it.
Do you want to try and make arrangements to see him today?
Yeah, and also I'd even say our boss. He'd be another resource, perhaps, of asking him if he knows. We've come up with this. Any thoughts, boss, on pointing us?
Yeah.
To a resource?
Or we could speak to that very talented sister of yours.
I'm surprised she hasn't poked her nose in here, but maybe she will. She will.
I don't think you guys have told her yet. After you saw her last night, you didn't tell her that this you captured a witness.
That was an unfortunate oversight.
So that's maybe something like as you get up, you're eating, and then it dawns on you, Jinsaburo, after you've spoken to this, like, oh no, we didn't tell. Oh God, Kita.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna. I mean, I'm gonna rectify it, but I'm not gonna Chinsaburo is not going to rend his cloth over this, but he'll fix it, But he's not done. He'll, however it's done, he'll send word. I mean, let's see, whatever best way to.
After meeting with these guys, it's about 1:00 in the afternoon. You've not had a great night's sleep. You'll be able to sort of pick one task to get done this afternoon before something else might happen. What are you guys thinking? What's the priority here? Is it to try and lock down a meeting with the Sapun Teoza? Is it to go and investigate the Koi and Plum? Is it to meet up with Denjuro and perhaps Kita? What are you guys thinking?
I guess we could divide and conquer, and you could try Danjuro, and I could try Sepun Toyoza. I don't suppose the innkeeper's going anywhere.
That sounds good, and I will try to send word to meet with my sister, if possible, prior to my meeting with Miyamoto Denjiro-sama.
Okay.
It would wind you up more if you went to see him first.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm trying to make without getting too carried away with feeling too bad about it. I'd rather inform her, of course, not in front of Denjuro, which could it'd be worse, So I will try to bring her up to speed, and then we can visit Denjuro together. Would be my plan.
Okay. So you're going to go inform Kita with Gorobe after he speaks to Toyoza? Is that?
I mean, I think we're splitting up, right? So we're going to split up, and then and I'll send word to meet with my sister prior to the appointment with Denjuro, so she's fully informed prior to our meeting with Denjuro. So it doesn't look like she's uninformed. I don't want her to look bad. I mean, then that really, the lid comes off. So I want her to be fully informed prior to our meeting with the boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, so you're going to go and meet up with her where she is. Gorobe, you're trying to make an arrangement to see Sapun Toyoza?
Yes, please.
Okay. Which scene do you want to do first, guys? It's the Mexican standoff of courtesy.
What's that, James?
You want to lead off with the boss, Danjuro?
Do it.
So Kita is likely staying at a similar type of an inn as you are. She did arrive a little bit earlier, so she's at a different thing. So you stop by Jinzaburo? Do you stop by your inn before heading to collect Kita?
Yeah, I mean, if I have, I will, and I'll do whatever time allows. If time allows, I might even take a. Whatever samurai called the disco nap. I'm sure there's some very cool samurai name for that. A sleep with the kami or something. I don't know, but some kind of a quick and get straightened up. Throw water on my face, maybe change my kimono.
So you're heading into the Waking Frog, I believe, is where you've been staying. You're making your way into the Waking Frog, and then you hear the sliding door from sort of the residence of the proprietor, and he looks out and says, "Oh, Agasha-san," and you sort of stop, turn around.
Sumio.
He says, "Good afternoon."
Or Stan, right? Maybe Stan.
His name was Sumio. Yeah. He says the. Word came for you from Miyamoto Denjuro-san. He has requested your attendance this evening. It came in quite early this morning. It came in not more than half an hour ago.
And very good.
Brings over to you this, a little scroll with... the seal of the Imperial Magistrate or the Emerald Magistrates on it.
Very good, Sumio. Sounds good.
He bows and then turns and kind of, heads in.
I will need some warm towels in my room, and then warm, wet towels, and then I proceed away.
Okay. We will. So you head in. You spend, merciful. I think you probably fall asleep. If you get in, you lay your head on the mat. There's a knock at the door, and you can hear. You don't know how long you've been out, but the door. It says, "May I enter, Agasha-san?"
Yeah.
So the door opens. He brings it in. He lays down the water for you and whatever sort of refreshing stuff you would need for it. He says, "Is there anything else you require, Agasha-san?"
No, I'm good.
Okay, he leaves you to clean up. If you read I think you probably, tell me if I've got this wrong, but it seems like you probably lay down and just close your eyes for a moment before even opening Denjuro's scroll.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this. I'm too far into phones and alarm clocks. How would they ever handle this? Like, you close your eyes and you miss 4 meetings. I mean,
yeah.
Well, you know what? I guess I know how I handle it. Now that I just needed a moment. I tell him, yes, there is something I need. I need you to knock on my door in 20 minutes. That's what I need. So I'm going to have him wake me up. That's how this is done. So. So I say, yes, it is important. Make sure I do not sleep beyond 20 minutes.
I will. So he leaves you to clean up and whatever else, and you realize you haven't opened Denjuro's scroll either. Which is the first thing you do? Open the scroll or start getting yourself refreshed?
I need to check the scroll just in case.
Okay.
I mean, I think I know what it says, but if I'm wrong, I may need to make some changes to my plans. So
yeah.
I look at the scroll.
Well, the two things that that sort of jump out at you, it's a pro forma kind of invitation to a dinner, very similar to the one that you received when you first got here, but the one unusual reference, or the one word that does sort of jump out at you, is the word reassignment.
Ooh.
You get yourself cleaned up, splash yourself, splash water on your face, and you feel much more refreshed, once you've got a chance to clean yourself up. Do you think you're able to get any sleep having read that reassignment word, or does the fatigue overtake you, or is your mind turning about the possibilities?
I think I probably think I'm not going to sleep, and then my body has different plans. Yeah. And out I go. So
you think for a moment that this is such an intriguing.
Right. Exactly.
And yeah, within you feel like you just close your eyes when the door's you hear knocking on the door, and it's once again Sumio. Nagashi-san, the time has passed.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, and he leaves. What do you do next?
Get myself all straightened up and I kind of need to inform Gorobei of the scroll. So is there a way for me to send a messenger?
Yeah, you wonder if Gorobei was going to be sending word, like the thing with the Sapun is they're not. Sapun Toyoza is part of the Imperial Guard, which means that he's kind of doesn't have the relaxed schedule that you guys do. So Gorobei is likely going to be back at his residence, or at wherever he's living, when waiting to find when he can meet with him. He won't just. I mean, he may go to court and trying to get his attention or something like that. So the best way to get a hold of him is probably leaving a message with either at Gorobei's residence or just heading to the Echo Hakai and trying to find where, either at the Imperial Guard barracks or somewhere, it's unlikely you're going to get access to the Forbidden City, but neither is it likely that Gorobei will have access there either. He'll be either at the barracks or at his house, or his residence, or at his at the sort of the entry point to the Forbidden City, waiting to see Gorobei or to see Toyoza.
I mean, it's not so urgent that it has to. It's not so urgent that it has to interfere or precede his meeting. I don't think with Toyoza. I mean, I don't even know exactly what's going to happen that night. It's obviously a bit ominous, but reassignment word. But I just want to make sure he knows in general. And so if he finds out before or after, I think that's adequate. Okay. So I will send a message to him by messenger at his domicile, okay. For his staff, his house people.
Yeah.
And that I'd received a scroll from Denjuro-sama about a meeting tonight, possibly involving reassignment. And indicate no idea what that means. but just to make sure.
It seems a bit harsh to reassign you after only 1 week on the job.
Mm-hmm. So I send that note.
Okay. So you arrange to have that sent. Sumio will make sure that is delivered. And then where are you heading next?
And then I let's see. I go to see my. Oh wait. Well, let's see. Well, this makes it. This is a little bit of a sticky because my plan was to meet with Danjuro, but Danjuro wants to see me tonight. Do I really make an appointment with Danjuro this afternoon since he wants to see me tonight about reassignment? So how useful is it to talk to Danjuro about the case? Is questionable now. I guess you know what. That kind of changes matters. You know what? I'll just meet with my sister. I'm gonna go find my sister. That's my plan.
Okay. So then let me ask you, Gorobe, would you be stopping by your home before you go in search of Siplin Toyoza? Or would you have gone directly from...
I guess I'd go and wash up a bit. It's been a long night and all the rest of it.
So when you arrive home, and I'm picturing you're seeing in more of a crane-sponsored thing. It's substantially nicer. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen where you live. And while it's not opulent, it's sort of like, it's a bachelor sort of, living. It's effectively like a barracks for unmarried samurai, kind of. It is substantially nicer than where Jinzaburo is staying. I think Jinzaburo would feel like kind of a schlub if he was brought to see where you were living by virtue of the wealth that the Crane clan has to offer. The Crane clan, this residence you're staying in likely dates from the time that Oda Sanuchi was kind of founded as the seat of the Hantei line. So you get in, and what you find is that the servant who sort of runs the barracks for you, he tells you, or she tells you maybe, that there is a message waiting for you from Miramoto Danjuro as well, and it also relates to reassignment.
Oh.
Neither of your letters make reference to one another, though. So you have an opportunity to get yourself kind of cleaned up. In contrast to what we saw Jinzaburo, him passing out and getting up and whatever else, what is the routine for Gorobe?
Oh, well, he'd just have a good wipe down with a damp cloth and put on his smarter kimono and then head on down towards, as I said, the Imperial Barracks to seek out this... Sepun guy.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't we do this quickly? Let's have you give us... Here we go. I do find that the DM screen in this, or the GM screen, is exceptionally useful. More so than many other games that I run. I'm constantly referring to it.
There's a lot on there, huh?
There's a lot of very useful stuff on here. And because you do need to engage the mechanics quite often and stuff that isn't, easy to remember, it's really, really helpful to have, I find. I've been thinking I'm visiting home in October, and if I do get a chance to run a session for Brent and Chad when I'm home, I'd like to run this for them because I think this is it's really well. Chad's the one who introduced me to Five Rings. In the first place, and Brent has always sort of enjoyed it, but I think that this version of it might be the version that gets him the best because it is less restrictive, like the whole restrictive society kind of stuff. For the previous editions, I think it would be more up his alley because that was something he really disliked from the get-go, was the whole samurai system and being forced to sort of play in a specific way.
I see.
So I think let's see here. This will be, probably courtesy. I think maybe courtesy and water. What do you think, James? Because I think I'm thinking that the water is more the maneuvering and whatever.
Water's I think that's right. And water is, deliberately his main style. I mean, it's not just that it's on his sheet that way. It's that's how he's meant to be.
Yeah, and because again, to navigating the courts, you know, in a figurative way is I think more of a water approach right now. So you can, let's see here. I didn't tell you the target number of another thing, so I think you guys both should have one void point so far. You might have 2 Jinzaburo.
I haven't used one.
Okay.
So
I haven't used one, okay. So then go ahead and give us, and difficulty for this, let's see here, will
And I'll
be...
use a void thingy then.
Okay. And nice. Very nice. All right, so 1, 2, 3 successes. You can keep 4 of those. What would you like to keep?
Well, I'll keep the 3 successes, and yeah, and therefore one of the
Okay.
opportunities.
All right.
So, well, which remind me, does it really get you so much more if you get that many more successes?
Not in this case, no. The opportunities, I think, would be more beneficial.
Exactly.
It does sometimes. Like, it can also be stage stuff where extra successes get you some things. It's generally the way it seems to work is that, especially in terms of like gathering information stuff, more successes give you more information directly about whatever you're doing and investigating or whatever. It's more towards your specific success. The opportunities are generally collateral things. So it depends if you want to learn more about, like, track him down and get information directly from him. That's your successes that will be more important from that. What the opportunities will give you is collateral information. You may learn some information that you weren't looking for.
Okay, so the difficulty was which? Sorry, 2?
Difficulty is only 1.
1.
For
In
this
that
one.
case, I'll take the 1 and keep the 3 opportunity.
Great, so you get
And
no
that's
strife
only
from either.
1 and 1 strife then.
So
No, in
what?
fact, don't even need even that.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm very chill today.
Yes. So this is sort of your, you know, I think your wheelhouse, as it were, right? Like of navigating the court stuff. You're definitely, I mean, you know, you are personally, your character is much more, you know, not much more so, but like you're very good with the lower classes and whatnot, or lower castes. But you were born a crane, and this is this is what living life as a crane is knowing the sort of the courts. And what you find is, after a bit of asking around, you find that Toyoza actually, he is in the sort of married parts of the quarters, and our scene picks up with you arriving at his house. And you are welcomed by his guests, or by his servants. And when you ask over him, they go. And what I'm going to be, I'm spending some of your opportunity for you here,
Please.
if you don't mind. So you will have one more opportunity to spend on this. But the person who comes to greet you, you are. You tell me how surprised you are when it is someone wearing the slightly off-color robes of a crane. And she comes, and she, the servant has left you in sort of the entryway waiting to meet with Toyoza. And she comes out, and she bows low, and she says, "Good afternoon, Doji-san. I understand that you are looking for my husband. I am Asahina Mayako." And
Intriguing.
You know that the Asahina are sort of known. Hold on, let me double check I got that right.
So maybe we
Doji,
see the
Takeda.
source of the jewelry here.
Asahina, I am. Yeah, okay. The Asahina are known as particularly their family is specialized in crafting in the arts and whatnot, and as well as making small kind of like enchanted trinkets, little things that incorporate spirits and such in them. She's a delicate lady, very small, typical of the Asahina, very refined. There's not a single hair out of place. And you can see that there is the marking of both the Sapun Mon on one side and the Asahina in the crane colors on the other. And she has a servant come in and serve tea serve... you may not go through the full tea ceremony, but she will just be greeting you. So I understand you're looking for my husband. Is there something I can assist with?
Well, I wouldn't want to trouble you. He had come to me himself, and in return, I had something to show him that I just wanted his opinion on. But of course, I can return later if that would suit better.
He is. His responsibilities have taken him away from home for today, but I do expect him back this evening. If it should only be a few hours, you are happy. So I am happy to extend the invitation. Excuse me, the courtesy of our household. We have. Have you seen the barracks gardens? They're quite exquisite.
Oh, well, that would be lovely. Just have a little admiration of the garden, indeed.
Why don't you give us? I think this is a sentiment and one of the approaches. I'll let you dictate any of the approaches. I think we'll do, except for recall. Probably isn't much, but like survey, theorize, analyze, sense. I think any of those other approaches
sense, I guess, would go well. So
sense with void, okay. Yeah, difficulty in this one is going to be a 3.
Oh, well, we'll forget that. Then that's not really going to go anywhere. Well, I'll theorize instead.
Okay. So theorize is fire. So why don't you give us...
Not much better, but...
Exploding dice, though. Okay.
So let's try that.
It's another ring dice. Oh, you can keep one of those. So I guess you're keeping the... 1. There you go. Only one more you need. Oh, but you're in fire stance, so you actually have 4 successes right now. So one more. And an opportunity. So you gain 2 strife. So tell us what's shifted in here. Why have you adopted this sort of more aggressive stance towards this lady?
Well, theorizing.
Theorizing, I imagine there are some pointed questions maybe you're asking her?
Yeah. SARS. Yes, it's really quite worrying, some of the things we've seen. I mean, far below your station. But I'm just puzzled as to why your esteemed husband of such a station would be spending time with me on a lowly criminal case. I was somewhat surprised. Do you have any ideas why that might be?
So I think so you got one opportunity from the last thing, and you've got an opportunity from this that you can spend. So I'll let you decide how you wish to spend those. One of them was in, I think, the water stance, and one of them was in the fire stance. What you tell with your success is this lady is, do I have an illustration of her? Hold on. Can't remember. I don't. I will between now and next session. What she says, the way that she sort of starts asking you questions about it, and she responds to it, it's quite obvious that she is trying to deflect from your questions. Oh, I am not certain as to why he would be involved in such things. Tell me, is here in your capacity as a magistrate that you have come?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, and that is curious. I did not know that my husband had any dealings with the Emerald Magistrates. Is it something to do with the court that brings you here?
The court?
No. Well, my husband is a member of the Imperial Guard.
Oh, indeed. But I was just curious as to if you had any, maybe use my fire opportunity there of just trying to wheedle out if she has any idea why I should be involved in the court, or that meeting should be involved with something to do with the court.
So here's the one thing you pick up. So I started answering your initial, or started describing your initial impression, and then got distracted by not having a picture. What you can tell, she is the picture of Crane refinement. You know, she not to be insensitive, but I mean, she is the ideal expression, or very close to it, of what the Crane, like to do with their daughters, which is to marry them off to important families. And she presents as, at least on first impression, as someone who is a perfect courtier for this. And perhaps it's, as you said in chat, Sean, like Gorbe maybe picking up something from his dragon companion here, because it's very unlike you to take a more aggressive approach for this, and yet you can tell that she is uncomfortable. She is, and I would go so far as to say she's afraid. There's something fearful in her demeanor about the way that she's asking things. And you can tell that there is, there is something, if you didn't grow up around the Crane, I think perhaps you might miss the small imperfections in the way she's carrying herself, and the way that she is sitting, and the way that she adjusts herself to, accommodate some kind of discomfort that may not be physical. There's definitely something she is hiding here, and she's really trying to wheedle some information out of you.
So with my water opportunity, which seemed to be the right one, would I be able to judge anything as to what underlies that? Is it a personal thing? Is it a career thing? Is it?
I think the impression that she is giving, this is a deeply personal thing. I think that, and I mean personal in the sense of like individual to her. This is not something that like her family finds herself in or whatever else. This may be, I think you also, I think that you may not, she may not have known that Toyoza went to you. That's the impression you get when you mention about the magistrates and meeting with the husband. She's scrambling, trying to find out what you know and why you're here without giving away too much of it. But she just seems to be unable to help herself. She may be, to use the parlance of the game, she may be very close to unmasking here. She's doing a very poor job as far as a trained crane. A trained crane woman, or not just a woman, but any trained crane would do. She's very close to unmasking. She seems to be holding things in even more so than most crane are. And even though this is also unlike the crane, are not like the crab where they regularly unmask and then go on with things. The crane are masters of concealing this stuff. The scorpion are the antagonizers. They're the ones who like going out and in these situations needling people until they lose their shit. The crane are masters of themselves. So for her to be, so obviously upset about your appearance here, that must be indicative of something. So, Gorbe, what do you make of all of that, and what do you do about it?
I'm just looking for my courtesy. Right. Let's see what is trying to. Now, can I incite by, saying, I feel that she's holding something back, and I'll try. But it's using courtesy though, so it's not very hostile.
Yep.
But just say, you need to. Something's clearly bothering you. So how can I help you solve this? Just.
Sure. Yeah.
That's my start. So
her.
I think they call it insight here.
Yep. So it'll be courtesy and fire. Her. I'll drop the vigilance down to a 2 instead of a 3, just because of you've made a pretty clear observation into her current demeanor. So it'll be a difficulty of 2. So you can keep one of those. So not quite a success, but you do get one opportunity from that. So you're in the fire stance.
Because those are 2 successes and 2 opportunities, right?
Right, but you only your ring is a 1. Is your fire a 1? Yes. I thought your fire was a 2.
No, sadly.
Oh, fire's a 1. Okay.
No, you're right. That was never going to work too well.
Well, I mean, you do have an opportunity, though. Remember, you can't spend opportunities regardless of the outcome of the roll. This is the collateral stuff. And unfortunately, you didn't roll strife. A strife would have given you the extra success you need. What, let's see here. Fire.
What's it say?
Yeah, you know what? Even if you could, even though you didn't get a success on what you were trying to do, you could spend... so the opportunity to give her 2 more strife.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, that's in a way why I was using fire, was to nudge her over the edge.
Who is this Gorobei just marching in and just
so
going after her?
What is your
hush, psychopath? Hush.
What is your? So what do you say to her? Do you think?
I say I feel you're holding something back, and it's doubtless to your disadvantage as well, and that of your husband.
Okay, so I think she gets the extra strife. I'm going to try and I think she's going to try and maneuver the conversation to sort of politely exit this, but she can't keep without unmasking. She's not going to be able to keep anything with strife, any dice with strife. So give me one moment here. I'm just trying to find her stats quickly. I do really love how you make NPCs in this too. It's like a template-based system. Fucking awesome. Okay. So let's see, is it? Yeah, she's going to respond kind in kind. So it'll be strife. There's very little reason for her to do that. She'll use water. She'll use water to try and maneuver you. Oh, air. Ah, her air is even better. So her air, but and the social. Okay, but she can't keep anything with strife on it. So let's see how this goes. Can't keep that or that or that. What is your vigilance?
My vigilance.
I got it written down. Hold on. I think it's a 3, isn't it? No, 4. No, that's a 3. Yeah, 3. I think both your focus and vigilance are 3. So she turns and she says, she sort of fakes hearing something. It says, "Forgive me, Gorobei-san, or forgive me, Doji-san. I do believe I have heard something that I do need to inquire. Servants can be quite challenging. Some tasks require some particular supervision. She is trying to extricate herself from here, and you definitely have the opportunity to try and lock her down and prevent her from doing so. Let me see if I've got... I do have some opportunity I could spend here. Let me see if I can do anything to make you... What you've seen... she's using it to get a measure of you. You're seeing the back and forth that you have with her. You get the sense that she has now got the measure of you. There's a little bit of, so she has a sense of you. You know this because this is what you grew up around. This sort of like fucking politicking or conversations that are really more skirmishes. This is again what you would have grown up around. She wasn't successful in her attempt though, so like there is definitely a way that you can politely prevent her from leaving. What would you like to do? I think that any more strife inflicted on her...
Yeah, sorry.
I say any more strife inflicted on her, she's going to have to unmask.
The only question here is that really helpful? Because it's
well, I'd say right, you can take a moment and just sort of think about what because your character would have had the time beforehand. Not for this, but I mean, your character is one who lives in this world. We don't. We visit it, once every 2 weeks. So your character would have all those cultural touchstones to sort of judge what's going on. What on earth do you think is going on here?
Well, I suspect that someone's been having an affair between these two. I suspect, but what do I know? But that's, being a man of romantic bent himself. So that's his suspicion, but, equally, I'm not sure that I want to get between, given that his high station.
Yep.
I'm not sure turning up and distressing the senior person's wife is probably the smartest thing on the universe.
Remind me, do you have any techniques that are courtier techniques? I can't recall if you have any.
Techniques, let's see. Using a polearm?
Yeah, that's definitely one way to get a word out of her. Tell me what you know!
No, you see, because he is essentially a bushi.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that pushing her over the edges, given the difference in station, is a desperately clever idea.
What you could...
Or...
Here's what you could do.
Change tack.
If you wish to be subtle about this... One of the ways you can make use of, if you take the air approach, one of the spends you can get with opportunities is to learn of advantages or disadvantages that the characters have. Just like your characters, they have those as well. So if there is something secret that is motivating her, that might be one way to uncover it. So you could force her to unmask, and that might have some result. If you want to be more subtle about it, you certainly could use... courtesy and...
courtesy and air, right?
Yeah, courtesy and air could do that. As could... if you want to be...
I can re-roll up to 2 dice.
Oh, no, right, because subtle observer. Yeah.
Subtle observer.
Right. So what would you like to do?
Courtesy and air then seems to be the thing. I was going to use courtesy and water, but...
Okay. So difficulty here will be a 2. Once again, she's riding pretty hot right now. So, look at that. She can keep 2 of those. You've got 2 exploding successes already.
So I'll keep those 2, yep.
Okay, so give us another ring dice and a skill dice. Looks like you're getting involved with this as well. 3 successes and 1 opportunity and 3 strife. So Garibay, you're really getting into this. It's a struggle, I think. So maybe that's why you're feeling or picking up some of her, emotion that's invested in this. You get 1 success over it, which means you can choose to. What do you think you say? What is it you are? And I guess you also have your the one opportunity you need to get the advantage or get a disadvantage from her. If you don't mind me spending that for you, I can give you some information.
Go on, give me some of that juicy information.
So the success means that you can choose to like impose more or relieve stress from her or strife from her, whichever way you would like, and you get one extra because of your extra success. So you can sort of control the conversation here. I will tell you with your opportunity. Mm-hmm. She is being blackmailed.
Uh-huh.
This is someone who is desperately curious of how much you know. I think there's in the fiction there would be subtle clues that she's asking you about. And she asked once or twice whether there's been a mentioning of her family. And the way that she talks about it, it's clear she's not asking you about your investigation involving her husband. She's asking if it's involving her. And you sort of piece this all together and you realize she's being blackmailed by someone. Do you want the successes you want to push her further, to have further strife which may result in unmasking, or do you want to alleviate some of the strife to help her?
I'll alleviate it, and then I think I'd like to go for a second courtesy but water approach, which is the going into charm and be flip it around a bit. Since she's a bit discombobulated at the moment,
okay,
I will calm her a little and then move more into the charm. So,
okay,
and hopefully she will be more receptive.
Sure. So she will get a chance to respond to you. I think she is going to try and extricate herself once again from this. So let me quickly make a roll for her for this. And then, you know what? And I should be rolling. I'm just desperate to make use of my physical dice. If I played in person, I would roll dice in front of, like, open. I think this game, because of there's ways that you guys can force re-rolls. And actually, let me actually trigger that. I think one of the things that she is definitely, there's got to be some disadvantage here at play where you guys can force me to re-roll stuff. All right, so that's gone. That's gone. I can't possibly get a success out of this. She almost seems desperate to try and get away from this, imploring on you how she is quite busy and she is, so apologetic about her rudeness. And then she sort of tries to manipulate it to being like, well, my husband, I'm certain, would be of greater assistance. You did come to speak to him after all. But she just is not able to disengage herself comfortably or politely without just blatantly walking away from you. And she's not willing to do that as of yet. You've calmed her enough to do that. So now it's back to you.
So now I'll try the courtesy and water. So charming, which I believe has along the lines of getting someone to like or trust you.
Yep. And I think, let me see, hold on, that approach actually might be better with her. One of the neat things they do with the NPCs is that you have, or the templates they have for the NPCs is that you apply their demeanors. And that, so for her, yeah, none of these are, I think, naive is sort of her thing. So actually, it's a 1. I reduce her the resistance for it to be manipulated. Actually, that'd be air, I guess, not water. So it'd be a 2 right now is what you're rolling against.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, holy shit! What are you keeping from that?
I guess I will keep the 3 ring dice.
Okay. The 3. Oh, so but that will not give you enough. The difficulty was a 2.
Oh right, sorry. So okay, then I'll take.
I mean, you might get a success with that exploding.
I'll take the 2 exploding and 1 of the opportunity dice. So I need to re-roll 1 and 1.
Yeah. So you get go ahead and. There you go, another success. So you get 3 successes out of this. You do suffer 3 strife. So, again, like you're sort of almost like you're leeching the emotion from her. You know, what is it you say to try and, you know, calm her down? And you got one opportunity to spend as well.
You know, my lady, I'm sorry I pushed you. I was discourteous before, and, you know, it's really not my the way I am. But I just detected in you that, you know, there's some distress that you're holding back from me. Something that's troubling you, and, you know, given my role, is there anything I can do to assist?
She,
I am, of course, you know, always conscious of discretion.
I think she collects herself and looks at you and says, "What is it that you are really here for?"
Originally, I just wanted your husband's insights into certain coins that we had retrieved at a crime scene. But, you know, having...
Her hands tremble when you mention the coins.
And I pull them out and say, these.
I think it is only her, likely her, you know, years of training. That's, you know, anyone else would probably be collapsing down and crying at this point. But you see she's holding herself together quite well, but her eyes are welling up with tears. And she looks at them and she says, "What crime is it that you are investigating, Doji-san?"
No less than 2 murders, I'm afraid to say.
Was one of them a wave man?
Both.
She looks surprised at that, and she doesn't do a good job of hiding it whatsoever. She's 2. 2 men murdered?
First, there was one who we were initially brought in to investigate, and then subsequently the witness to this was also murdered. And at the scene of both crimes, we found these coins.
She nods and she says, "You must understand, my husband was ignorant of this until it was too late." But...
Can you share more?
For the better part of the past year, I have been forced to share sensitive information with I don't know who they are, but there is a wave man that I meet at a bridge, a Ronin, a filthy, disgusting blackmailer, to whom I had been delivering information. And then 2 months ago, I was told that I needed to start supplying money in addition to information, lest my shame be made public. The man who I had been sharing, who had been my contact, there was suddenly a new man the last time I met. And that man told me that money would no longer be required. I don't know why. My husband only recently learned of this, and he undertook himself to find this man.
So this meant that the new man was calling it all off, or?
He was still demanding. To my great shame, I have, because of my husband's station, I have access to many conversations which others would be kept from. And that's the information that this blackmailer has been demanding of me. I do not know for certain. I'm sure the Scorpion are behind it. More
if
often,
I may ask of the nature of the hold they have over you?
her face, she blushes, and she says, an indiscretion of a moment of weakness of mine. If this information were to come, I trust that you will... It will suffice for your investigation to know that if this became public, it would bring shame to myself, my husband, and more so than my sharing the information with them. My husband, for his part, only became aware when he learned of what had happened, the money. It got to the point where I was turning over possessions of my own to keep my husband from learning this disgusting blackmailer and the things he was asking of me, money and secrets. The new man, he claimed it would only be the secrets, that the money would not be needed any longer.
You know the names of the two men?
I don't know the names of those dogs.
Can you describe them?
She describes both of them, and with some questions and some clarifications from you, it seems like she is describing Yorinaga and Kosaku.
Huge surprise there. I would say, well, very well, lady. Let me see what... I understand the situation. Let me see what I can do to assist. Clearly...
She seems a bit surprised by this. Like, what will you do?
Then I need to resolve the source of this blackmail. Underlying it, I don't think it was these two Ronin. They would have no such insight, and they're just mere underlings. So I need to find who's really behind it and who is trying to uncover Imperial secrets and bring shame to various members of clans.
You can tell she's sort of... I think maybe this is where she breaks face. She just begins crying and hugs you. Like a highly inappropriate, display of affection for someone who she just met. But she is very just, weeping and hugging you and saying thank you, thank you, thank you over and over again.
Right, so...
Okay.
I smile and bob and say, I will do what I can. Please let your husband know that I will... you are very helpful, and I will try and assist where I can in resolving these problems.
And she says, and discretion. You will not let my shame be known? Please.
I see no reason.
So I think that you would get a void point back for that. That is definitely playing it. I can't remember which of your advantages it plays to, but that definitely fits with what your character's role has been in the Crane.
Well, I'm seeing that I'm viewing her as part of the Crane clan, right?
Yep.
And therefore covering up secrets of the embarrassments to the Crane clan is
your wheelhouse.
my thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Now I've got a water opportunity, right? So I guess
you do, yeah.
I'd get rid of some stress with that.
Yeah, you can get rid of 2 strife. Yeah.
2 strife.
Okay.
Not that they seem to come through on the bar at the moment.
There you go.
But they are in my numbers.
So, as you're leaving, we'll cut back to Jinsaburo. So, Jinsaburo, you were going to meet with or trying to track down your sister-in-law, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we pick up with you arriving at the inn that she is staying at. It's in a different part of the Toshisoto in which she is staying, and you find her in her room with her assistant, and you sort of you knock on the door, and you can hear her voice again, that even voice from within. Enter.
I do so.
And she looks up, and her eyebrow arcs. Brother?
Sister, good to see you.
She gestures to a scroll with a broken seal that is sitting next to her on her table. And she says, have you received word yet?
I did indeed. It's one of the things I wish to speak to you about, ask you about. What are your thoughts?
Please, sit. And she comes over. She looks, she says, my thoughts. It seems that you have mastered, and she sort of looks at you. Let me make a quick roll for her. What is your vigilance? I think it's a 4? No, 2. You sort of wear your heart in your sleeve here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got like 3 successes on that. So she looks at you and says, so it is not just me. We are both to be reassigned.
Indeed, and since you've received it as well, my scroll did not mention any other recipients, and so I will make the assumption that yours did not either.
It did not. Have you spoken Have you spoken to your friend?
I have not. We pursued different tasks today, but given that you received a similar scroll to me, I think the most likely is that he received one as well. We don't know that yet, but it seemed to fit better.
She arcs that weaponized eyebrow of hers once again and says, indeed. And if not, it would certainly be convenient for the Crane to see both dragon investigators reassigned.
Yes, we can cross that bridge when we come to it, but that bridge is in the distance still, sister. But what I suspect, either we can consider that, at which point we learn that that is the case, or otherwise, if that is not the case, my suspicion is that we are making too much progress, or at least someone thinks so.
She stops as if to consider. What progress do you mean?
And that is the second thing I came here to speak to you about, sister. And I look at her and then sort of glance at the assistant. Would it be too much to ask if I could just maybe a bit of tea?
She turns and nods at him, and he hops up and goes to prepare the tea. And she said, brother, last I recalled, you were never a master of the tea ceremony. Is this something new now that you found yourself adjacent to court?
There are many things new, sister. In fact, let us discuss. First, my apologies, because in our rather brief interaction, gosh, what was that, yesterday? Was it yesterday or in the morning?
Last night.
That I met with her last, that I saw her last. Last night, I failed to remember to bring up a number of developments, and I want to update you fully now. And ironically, now I want to update you when we may be reassigned. But in any case, to evaluate our potential reassignment, these developments are important that you know them fully and that we can discuss them. Gorobe and I, as you're aware, I believe, were pursuing to speak to the erstwhile witness that we suspected of being involved. You recall, of course.
I recall.
Kosaku. Kosaku. You recall that we were going to talk to Kosaku. He was a prime suspect at this point, at least of being maybe not the killer, but at least being involved with him. Well, good news and bad news, sister, as I am quickly learning our job entails and too often involves. He was found by local Yuriki that we had tasked with his finding and with his custodialship, so that we could speak to this person that we found probably at the center of the situation. Well, they found him, but just before we arrived, or even as we were arriving at the precinct to question him, they had him secured inside. He was murdered, assassinated, upon just as our arrival by no less than, and you can't help it, I give a little, by no less than Shinobi, the same. Probably the exact same assassin. I cannot know that, but the manners, the method is indistinguishable from our original victim, and threw a sharpened object into the neck, into the precise location on I just keep forgetting over and over.
Kosaku. I'll put it in chat.
Kosaku. Our Kosaku. Yeah, thank you. Mercy. That's a mercy typing right there. Of Kosaku's neck, killing him almost immediately inside the precinct itself. And I gave chase, climbed to the roof and gave chase to this shinobi. Unfortunately, he is better on roofs than I confess. And I did not secure him. So we have lost the prime suspect, one of our prime suspects, I'm afraid. And we have he was found with a shiny coin that was indistinguishable from the one that you recall we found under the patio of the flooring near the first victim, further solidifying the significance of that finding in the first crime scene. And that was found in a secret compartment in his shoe, along with his other coins.
So he had coins either the same given to the first victim or taken from the first victim at the scene.
Indeed. Yes, he was either paid by the same person or he took them from that victim. Correct. I think that is a proper assumption, sister. Or proper theory in any case.
Where is Gorebe-san now?
Gorebe-san was a perfect segue, for he was going to meet with someone that he thought might have information on these coins that could at least point us in a direction. We were both going to do this. I was going to meet with our Miramoto-sama and Denjiro-sama, and he was going to meet with a member that he had become familiar with of the Imperial Guard, and so he was going off to speak with them. Just because he had this acquaintanceship, he might be able to steer Gorebe in a direction, and I was going to speak with Denjiro, with you, was my plan. That was prior to receiving the scroll that we made from him, that we're meeting with him tonight, in any case, to possibly be reassigned.
So Gorebe-san collected you and brought you to investigate the witness.
Yes, we went together to the precinct.
So he was not aware of the pending reassignment then?
No, this was prior to any of us. Well, I mean, I don't know about him so far. He didn't mention anything about it. I'm sure he would have, I think. But it was significantly before I had received mine, at least. I don't know that when it was delivered, of course, but when I received it at my at the Blue Lantern or Crane, whatever it is, Waking Frog. Before I received the Waking Frog.
I confess, brother, the reassignment was in light of the progress of our investigation was disquieting. And I thought it a sign that perhaps my methods, those of the Kitsuki, were more effective than our supervisor had or with which they were comfortable. With both of us, I failed to see how bringing you, if Gorobe knew that you were to be reassigned and that I was to be reassigned, why he would bother to wake you in the middle of the evening and bring you there. I may have misjudged him. But it does not change that we now find ourselves in the midst of a fruitful investigation facing reassignment.
Mm-hmm.
Jinzaburo-san, and this is one of the first times she's referred to you by your actual name since you left the Dragonlands. I fear that we find ourselves very far from our mountain homes.
I have a doorbell ring.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Sure. What we'll do is, I think what we're going to cut to next is you, Gorobe, because I don't think you've got time to try and meet up with them before meeting with Denjiro, but you'll be meeting with them outside of, like in the Echo Hakai, kind of the streets of the Echo Hakai, waiting to go into Denjiro's residence, or the Emerald Magistrate's kind of headquarters. What I was saying, Sean, is that I think that unless there's anything else you guys wish to do with, speak to Kita about, you will be able to meet up with Gorobe outside, like on the streets outside of Denjiro's residence before. It's an early meeting he's got with you. It's not really like a dinner like it was last time. Is there anything else you wish to talk to Kita about?
I was just going to quip to her that, well, sister, when she said, well, we're about to get reassigned apparently, I said, well, sister, we have an afternoon to solve it, and just kind of grin.
Okay.
Not that that's possible, but
she looks, and for the first time, she seems to be in agreement with you, and kind of nods and says, "Then, to find Gorobe." So, you guys will have an opportunity. Gorobe. It took you a while to track down, the meeting you had with Asahina Mayako, and so you meet up, and you can see that Jinzaburo is with Kita, and I think Gorobe, because you're probably in the Echo Hakai before, you're there first, sort of waiting outside, because at this point, Gorobe, you're not. You're aware that you have been reassigned, but you don't know that the other two have been reassigned. So I'm going to assume that you wanted to meet up with them and say, like, what is going on, before you go in and meet with Denjiro? Do I have that right?
Yep.
Or would you have met in with you? Would you gone, like, think your duty is first and, like, you were just assigned these guys a couple days ago, so what's the difference if you're reassigned?
Well, I would be drawing the same conclusions. That it's funny to suddenly get reassigned just after we get involved here.
Okay.
There's obviously something with power and money involved here, and suddenly we're all reassigned, which is
okay. So perhaps you're waiting outside, and you see Jinzaburo and Kita approaching. Neither of the groups know that the other has been reassigned yet. So how does this scene play out, guys? Who's the first one, I guess, to ask about it is what I'm curious of.
I could. I say, Gorobe, as much as I want to hear of how your meeting with about coins went, I produced the scroll and I say, unfortunately, this meeting is not going to be about coins, and I don't know if you got one of these as well. And I show you my scroll.
And Kita would hold hers out as well.
Yep. All the best people get them.
Mm-hmm. And I give my sister just a quick look. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we are all to be reassigned then.
Mm.
Kita asks Gorobe-san, is this typical? for...
No. But perhaps one should not be naive and be surprised that when one gets involved in matters which are clearly involving people with power and money that this happens.
She looks confused for it. Gorbe-san, perhaps you know more than I do. My understanding is that this Waveman was murdered by gamblers and seemed to be involved with the same sorts. What makes you think,
well,
notwithstanding the assassin...
Both. Well, my point rests on the assassin. No sake house quarrels will involve a first-rate shinobi. That is self-evident. These were men of little consequence, and yet somebody who was hired, who what must have been the price of a lifetime's wages of these fools.
If the intent is then, you would know this better than we, Gorbe-san. Should we expect to be reassigned together or separately? And
I would guess apart, but we shall see. It makes for an interesting meeting.
Her head goes down and she says, I must say, and forgive my directness, Gorbe-san, but both by my training and my temperament, I'm not inclined to leave a mystery unsolved. And the interesting thing, Jinzaburo, I think that you can tell, this is her version of unmasking. She is normally so, feels that she's playing people against people and blah, 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 and she keeps her true intentions and her true desires fairly close to her vest. Her being candid about not wanting to follow the rules, this is her equivalent of acting out, as it were.
I think Jinzaburo passes up the opportunity to gloat and stick it to her. and says, well, a question that comes to my mind is how much we think we can trust and candidly converse with Danjiro-sama about our concerns in this matter, or whether until we know more about how far this spreads above us, that we keep him in the dark. I would, of course, prefer to be able to bounce this off him and be candid, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he is trustworthy so much that we do not suspect that he is part of the reassignment? Did he get these orders, or was he part of them?
One and the same, I would have thought.
Yeah, you think he is part of the conspiracy to stop progress?
Well, it must have crossed his mind that 3 investigators on one case being reassigned was unusual, shall we say?
Undoubtedly, but do we think he's involved? Is the should we not be candid with him about our concerns, since he would, if we think he might be? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we just can't know of whether he's involved in the reassignment.
I'm not sure we're going to get anything by really raising it with him, because if he's part of the plan, obviously we'll get nothing.
Yeah. And
if he's not, then is he really going to stick his neck out, particularly for 2 new hires?
Does Gorbe know him very well, Kevin? Danjiro-sama?
I don't think he knows him terribly well. As far as he knows, he's part of the magistrate sort of apparatus. But himself, I think the one way you would have to learn about it is in our next session in 2 weeks' time, where we will go in and we're going to handle that like a intrigue. where you will see if you can uncover what the hell is going on behind this reassignment. So, first off, I believe, guys, that you're going to get... This was a terrific role-playing session. Why don't you guys each take 5 XP for today?
Nice. Good.
And then, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for Chapter 7 of our Lament for Lovers and Liars campaign or adventure. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. In addition, there's a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server where all of us are active, and we have channels there dedicated to this game, this campaign, and every other campaign we run on the channel as well. There's a bunch of other great channels, finding groups, online conventions, setting up virtual tabletops, or just general chat about stuff. There's tons of great channels and a terrific community over there. You are more than welcome to join us over there. As part of our outro, I'll just quickly say too, like, at the outset we were talking about the difference in the style of play between, the one and the other. I think this session is a great example of like the strengths of having that texture and the ability to, use opportunities and whatnot. James, you made some really interesting use of your opportunities over the course of that investigation, depending on the different stances you were in. So I think it's a really definitely speaks to the merits of the system and what you can get out of it. That is, you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in a system that's more streamlined.
And even though we don't have one, I really brought in the core. If you had a courtier, there's always that question of like, courtiers aren't a combat character, they're not a magic character. Do you really want to play a courtier? And I think like a session like today would be huge for a courtier. Like it's just all intrigue.
Definitely. But I think one of the interesting things is that with this is that for one, the regular rewarding of XP, especially early on, if I had to do it over again, I'd be giving you more XP in the early sessions. I'd probably give you like 1.5 times the number of hours we played, just so you can start like developing those skills that you're using right away. There's nothing lost in seeing that, and there's also no restrictions on. There is restrictions on what counts towards your XP as far as getting your ranks are concerned, but you're free to grab whatever you like. So you can develop what skills you want, you can grab what techniques or whatnot that you want. So I really like that the system allows you to develop the character however the hell you want. Even if you're playing characters starts off more in one direction, you can feel free to still develop the martial side or the spell side or the whatever the hell you want. I mean, I know one of you guys is playing a secret ninja and hasn't revealed it yet, but I mean, that's,
yeah, for another session.
A whole other kettle of fish. But I agree.
I thought this was the alien crossover, and one of us is actually an android.
The other neat thing too is that because at the end of the day, it's going back to your rings. The way you choose to describe your approaches, and the rings are what you're keeping from your role. If you're playing to your strengths, you're still going to be pretty. Like you got a good chance of being good, even at stuff you're garbage at.
Yeah.
The one thing I think I would consider house ruling is because I like players, and this is just because of this style of play I like best. I might even because the void points are restricted to your void ring, I might actually double that to have what your actual void points are, to allow players, because particularly if you only got one, it's really hard to be sitting in that one and decide when it's appropriate to spend. Because I think that I would prefer to see a little more fast and frequent use, especially early on in the game, to see more frequent use, so you can get over the humps of the things you're really garbage at.
Yeah.
Because with one you just tend to ignore it.
Absolutely. And
wait for some catastrophic moment.
Well, that's something we might try next session then. We'll try playing with your void points are double your void ring, and to see how that plays. I tend to be pretty diligent about giving your target number, so it's like the numbers that we're playing with. It's usually only when one of your specific advantages or disadvantages comes up you can get it back. But when you're either, you're in a binary situation like what Gorobe is, where either you have it or you don't, it's so rarely you get to benefit from, having spent it and got it back. So I think we try it next session and see how that, how that plays. But
anyway,
let's see here. What else? I'm in the middle of my outro when I was, it's just a great, really great. I love. This is one of those ones where it really feels like it's not that the mechanics are not bogging down play, and I don't necessarily have felt that it's been bogging down at any point, but it really highlights how light a touch the game can have on the narrative while still giving meaningful mechanical choices for what's happening. I really, really love that.
The granularity really played for the session. I think the granularity went well. Absolutely,
yeah. And remembering your advantage too, James, when you made use of. I honestly, completely wasn't even thinking about the advantages or disadvantages. I was kind of stuck in the scene. So bringing the advantage back in of like, well, I got that. I can re-roll 2 of those. Great way of reminding that you can take advantage of the cool shit that's on your character sheet.
Yep. Yeah.
So, let's see here. We also have a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games, the preeminent retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print games in North America. You can find, not only do they have new RPGs, new board games, new card games, they also have a terrific selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs, as well as a feature called a want list. So if they don't have in stock the old or out-of-print game that you want to get a hold of, you can put that on there, and they'll let you know when they have it in stock. And they do restock fairly frequently. I don't know how much of it's informed by the want list, but it seems like I've rarely been waiting more than about a month to get stuff, with the exception of one product for Conan D20. I'm still fucking Tito's Marketplace or whatever it's called. It's the one I'm missing from my collection. It came in and it sold out before I could get it. Anyway, so it's a great, great feature. And if you are making a purchase through their website for $10 or more, be sure to use the code Musings, and you will save 10% on your purchase. In addition, there's a link down below to the Heroes Save Villages campaign. That's a charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel, benefiting the SOS Children's Villages International Charity. It is a terrific organization, active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children. And we have 2 ways of saying thank you. First off, all money that goes through that link goes directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to benefit the kids who benefit from that. In addition, as a small way of saying thank you, for every $25 Canadian that you donate, you get 1 chance to win the grand prize or one of the other great prizes in our next charity raffle. And next charity raffle will be in December of 2022. And if you want to see what was given away in the last raffle, you can head on over to the Dungeon Musings Discord server's Charity Initiatives channel and see what the prizes were. While you're there, you can also, if you have donated since June 15, 2022, you can cast a vote for the next charity session we are running. You have until the end of tonight to cast your vote for what kind of heroes, if you have donated since that time, we'll be playing for our next charity session, which will be playing Eden Studios' All Flesh Must Be Eaten, the classic zombie apocalypse or zombie survival horror RPG. But we will be running charity sessions between now and the end of year. And if zombie mayhem is not your cup of tea, well, a little later in the year, we will be having a Conan 2D20 charity session, which is one of our favorites, one of the favorites of the channel. And we will be having donors voting on what kind is going to be the thief, the barbarian, the whatever. We'll have lots of ways for donors to be able to shape what that session will be like. So lots of ways for the donors to get a chance to win some cool gaming stuff and help shape what is on the channel. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our stalwart samurai heroes here. So Sean and James, thank you so much for playing today. Great session today, really. I feel like you guys made not only some really fun role-playing stuff and some interesting mechanical stuff. I feel like you guys are really suddenly getting to the heart of this mystery now. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Then, for those listening at home, we'll be back in the Emerald Empire in 2 weeks' time. Until then, we hope that we gave you a couple of hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our heroes, the investigative Emerald Magistrates, have been uncovering in the dark and dirty streets of Oda Sanucci. Until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.